Stories beyond the grave. Northycote Farm's heartbroken lovers. The West Midlands is a county in the middle of England, with a population of around 3 million. The main urban areas are Wolverhampton, Coventry, and Birmingham. It's most famous for being the Black Country, which brings to mind scenes of coal, factories, and smog. But step away from these urban areas, and there is so much more. Rapeseed fields are commonplace during spring and summer. Hawthorn trees and blackthorn trees are widespread throughout the area too. And of course, along with the usual friendly neighbourhood cat and horses, often owned by members of the public who go horse riding. Yet, if you look closer, the West Midlands holds a darker past. Along the crevices and cracks, away from the vibrant colours of the fields, something menacing lies in wait. It is because of this Black Country history, and many more history stories besides, that a sense of foreboding is never too far. The paranormal is never too far. In the beginning, it starts with strange sightings, things that look out of place, things that were there but you never took much notice of. Fluorescent substances line areas near where you live, strange growths which are isolated to a single area and never seem to go away, and dead zones where live things struggle to exist, if at all. But then you start to feel it in the wind, that uncontrollable wind that seems to come and go when it wants, that never seems to leave your side, blowing a cool draft around your neck. Your heart rate starts to increase and you become paranoid by looking over your shoulder. Things start to move without there being any meaning to. Objects crash next to you, behind you, in front of you, all around you. Someone is following you and you try to hurry up. You try to find another way. Anyway, all your senses are on fire and you just don't know what to do. You get tangled in the undergrowth and struggle to move forward. Each step you take feels like it's taking you no further forward. You press on as hard as you can, all the while you hear a piercing scream from behind you. You don't want to look back, you can't look back. You won't be able to carry on if you do. The thorns scratch at you, embedding into your skin, tearing, ripping, gouging. And then you fall weightlessly downwards. You recover and look up. Your eyes struggle to adjust to the light in the darkness. You begin to get up when you see that thing appears, and the light slowly recedes, closing your tomb forever. And then you wake up, happy it was a dream. Or was it? Whether it is by the light of the full moon, or in the inner depths of your dreams, the paranormal is never too far. And above all, what makes it worse is the waiting, the holding of your breath as you listen for that thing in the darkness, and the tick, tick, tick that sounds in the background. Tick, tick, tick. Ghosts. The things that make loud noises at night. Ghosts. The things that children are terrified of, that are hiding underneath their beds. Ghosts. The things that grown adults have spent years searching for in haunted castles and haunted mansions. But what actually are they? And where do they come from? The truth is that we just don't know. And we've been searching for this for millennia, and stories have existed since then as well. The first actual sighting, recorded sighting that is, of a poltergeist or a ghost actually physically interacted with the world as opposed to just being seen by a human was in 856 AD. It was in a farmhouse in Germany, and there were reported sightings of loud noises, bangs, and things like pails being knocked over. Now, ghosts have taken many forms, from a random bypasser that we know nothing about, to heroes and figures throughout history that are so well known that school children are learning about them in their classrooms every day. The likes of Abraham Lincoln and many others from his era. Now, the actual sight of ghosts varies. Obviously, ghosts tend to only appear, or really only appear, when somebody has died, because the ghost is what is actually remaining when that person has died, or so the explanation goes. Now, because of this, the main actual sightings of ghosts tend to be around battle sites, battlefields, any massacres, because that's where the most unjust deaths actually occur, or things of crimes of passion, where there's such an intense emotional connection that's actually the reason why the ghosts materialise, because, as some people say, they just simply can't move on. Now, there has been records throughout the West Midlands in countless newspapers of ghost sightings stretching back decades, and you don't actually have to look far to find many. For example, the Station Hotel in Dudley. One of the biggest draws of that event, according to this article, is room 217. Now, many customers, many hotel goers have actually gone to that room and seen sightings. One such person, Tracy Munger, in 2002 in May, she reported that when she woke up, she saw that there was a woman wearing a black dress down to the floor with tight-fitting sleeves. Previously, the night before, she'd actually hung up a football shirt, and yet when she woke up, she saw this figure appearing to whisper. When she actually went to go and say something, she turned on the lights. The seemingly ethereal woman had disappeared, and strangely the football shirt had folded itself up on a nearby chair. That's not the only example. If we look to the Express and Star, West Bromwich Manor House, another one, the manor house itself dates back to the 13th century, so again, these aren't recent things, but things that have been going on for many, many centuries. In this one, there are actually reportedly 3 spirits. One included a bearded man and 2 young girls who are thought to live on the kitchen stairs. That itself has its own history. Again, the Guildford Arms in Wolverhampton. This apparently, according to the Express and Star, many, many ghosts have been seen, one of which is the spirit of so-called Anna Hornton, which supposedly has been following young men back home from the pub at night. It's said that this was a prostitute who took her own life in the site in the early 20th century. But that wasn't the only one. Apparently a man that's been attributed to be the old landlord named John has been seen at the site as well. And finally, probably the most infamous one across the West Midlands area is Dudley Castle itself. The famed attraction, and the attraction which now has a zoo as well. Almost Harry Potter-esque. The most famous is said to be the Grey Lady, believed to be the ghost of a woman named Dorothy Beaumont. Now, she lived at the castle and actually gave birth to a daughter who unfortunately died, and she asked to be buried beside her daughter and her husband to attend the funeral. But these requests never carried out, and there are reported sightings and photographs taken of her roaming the castles, never to be at rest. Now, in this episode, what we'll actually be looking at is Northycote Farm, which has its own sightings and its own things to uncover. Now, I'm too scared to go there at night, so I'll be going there during the day, and I'll be trying to take everything I can with my mobile phone. Any sightings, any signs of ghosts, I'll be sure to capture them as much as I can. I'll see you guys there. So I'm on my way to Northycote Farm right now, and it's a beautiful day, not exactly the time and the weather for ghosts and ghouls to be roaming around, but considering in the UK we get maybe 2 weeks of sun a year, it would be unfortunate not to actually enjoy it while it's here. Now, Northycote Farm is a well frequently visited place within the West Midlands of the local community. It's an area where dog walkers go to spend time with their dogs and their children. Bird watchers come to watch the birds, and any events ranging from Easter to Halloween are all staged here, with members of the community across the local area coming to join one another and actually engage in the festivities. Now, unfortunately, as we already know, the West Midlands is no stranger to ghost and ghoul sightings, ranging from Birmingham to Coventry to even somewhere as small as Northycote Farm. You only have to know where to look to find the ghosts, unless they find you. Northycote Farm and its surroundings is a large area. The whole span of it is 90 acres of mature woodland, fields and meadowland. The main things to see, apart from the nature, is the farm and its adjoining farmhouse. Now, that's a lot of area to cover. Now, there are actually 2 ways that you can get to Northycote Farm. You can either go by car, you might be able to hear some of the cars in the background, or you can get there by walking. Now, I've chosen to go for a walk because driving's a little bit boring and it's a beautiful day, so why not get outside? Now, rather annoyingly, I've chosen the hill route, which is a little bit of effort to get there, but we'll get there. It'll just take a little bit of time. Now while I take a break from my walk to Northycote Farm, because that hill was really steep, why don't I actually set the context of where these ghosts come from, the actual background of Northycote Farm. So to set the scene, it's 1651. The representative of the fugitive, Charles II, is on the run from a crushing defeat at the Battle of Worcester. He dropped in at Wolverhampton's Northycote Farm to try and seek help and refuge for Charles II. Now it's really important to note here that this is actually the third civil war that England has actually faced up until this point. Charles I, the beheading of him has long gone, happening about a decade before. Oliver Cromwell then took up position and essentially ran England all by himself as the leader. But while Cromwell was in Ireland fighting the Irish, Charles II, coming from the continent, saw this as an opportunity to take back the throne to try and reclaim it. Now, back to Northycote Farm. So unfortunately, it's said the husband wasn't home when the representative came to visit, which meant that the farmer's wife had to unfortunately turn him away. This meant that Charles II, rather than stopping at Northycote Farm, actually stayed closer, nearby, at a place called Moseley Old Hall, another local area which is in itself unsurprisingly haunted. Now, as an apology, as a way of showing remorse, the farmer's wife sent an attractive young maid to attend to the king during that time when he was at Old Moseley Hall. Now, unfortunately, and nobody knows why or what happened, but when actually that time ended and Charles II left Moseley Old Hall, the maid was nowhere to be seen. She wasn't found. There are no records which exist of her at all. Now, strangely, it's not the unfortunate maid that is supposedly haunting Northycote Farm, but it's actually a grief-stricken lover, a farmhand at Northycote Farm, that never ever fulfilled his desire to marry this maid and live a happy life together. Now it is this grief-stricken lover, this farmhand, who died of a broken heart, that is apparently now haunting Northycote Farm and all of its residents, and has been for decades, right the way back to 1651. And here is the sign designating the entrance to Northycote Farm, which is free for all of the community to come and visit. People can visit whenever they want, although the Farmhouse Cafe is only open from Tuesday to Sunday, from 10 AM to 3 PM. While I chose to walk, many people choose to drive here, and there is plenty of car parking space to do just that. Oops, it's a good thing I chose to walk because the car park closes at 5 PM sharp. Now I'm finally in Northycote Farm, and as you can see above me, the sun is still shining. So we might have some difficulty here actually finding the ghosts, but let's see what we can find. The farmhouse of Northycote Farm was built in the Tudor style in around 1600. It was owned originally by the Underhill family, which then became part of the Moseley Court estate. Much later, during World War I, the farm was used to keep war horses, which were then sent on to the battlefield at Flanders. It was then bought by Wolverhampton City Council in 1978, who still own it to this day. Unlike in 1996, when the farm's site managers saw fixed shadows without something casting them on the buildings, there doesn't seem to be anything here now, at least in the windows. The farm area has been used for many different events over the decades, just like today. A paranormal presence was reported here during a craft fair decades ago when a trader claimed they heard footsteps followed by the sound of someone falling. I think it's safe to say that there isn't anything here now, given the lack of distressed people running around not knowing what to do. I can't investigate the farm anymore due to the avian flu. I wonder if ghosts can catch colds. Apart from some well-placed trash, I don't think we'll find anything else here. This is one of the central areas where visitors can come and play or eat. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong here at the moment, and it's a little too open for ghosts to appear. At least I know I wouldn't want to stay around here for long if I was one. Or maybe it's the number of people. Like the stories mentioned so far, paranormal activity tends to only happen when people are alone. And again, some more well-placed trash. Either litterers are getting more inventive, or there really are litter-obsessed ghosts here. These woods are the perfect place for ghosts. Just look at this. Alone, plenty of cover and places to hide, dead wood to crack and branches to fall. Now this really is a playground for ghosts and their unfortunate victims. Sadly, it seems like no ghosts are around now, even in the tree canopies. This wood looks scorched and damaged, and there are others like it in the area around. Could it be pyromaniac ghosts with some horrible past of meeting their end in a house fire? Of a murderer who killed their victims in a blaze of glory? Or school kids who wanted to mess around with fire? I guess we'll never know. Just one final quick look underneath the perfect hiding spot. No, nothing here either. I think it's fair to say that I've now scoured the entire of Northycote farm and there's not a single ghost or ghoul in sight. Now, sunny days aren't exactly the playground for things beyond the grave, but maybe you can do better. If you find yourself around Northycote farm, or even any haunted places in your local area, in your communities, have a look, see what you can find. Just make sure that you have your Ghostbuster kit, because if you don't find them, they might find you. See you on the next one.